She was arrested in a group case. With her, other women rights activists were arrested. My mom was advocating for women and labor rights since 4 decades. So we don't know what exactly happened.
Freiheit für Nahid Taghavi!
Freiheit für Nahid Taghavi!
Freiheit für alle politischen Gefangenen im Iran!
Freiheit für alle politischen Gefangenen im Iran!
Die Entführung von Doppelstaatlern. This has a long tradition with mullah regimes. The kidnapping of dual nationals with the aim of extorting money or to get terrorists released who are in Western prisons is a very perfidious means of the mullah regime.
Ja, also ein ganz perfides Mittel des Mullah-Regimes.
It was on Friday evening on October 16, 2020, when my mother stopped responding to my text messages. And I could see that she's online on WhatsApp and the messages are being read, but there was no response. So at the beginning, I was not that worried. I thought there is an issue with the internet connection or something like this. But after 15 hours, the next day, when she was not responding to my phone calls and messages, I was worried. So I called her brothers in Iran and told them they should go to her apartment and check what is going on. They went to her apartment and it was like a crime scene. 2 days after she had disappeared, we've learned that she is in Evin prison, in the notorious Evin prison. And some days it's hard to understand, especially because my mother is a German citizen. She's being held in solitary confinement and it's a national security case. And that was the point when I learned my mother is a political prisoner.
I'm Saidi Fa'ati, and I have been a journalist for more than 20 years. I was charged with endangering national security and criticizing the regime, but during the interrogation, it turned out that it was also about activities I had done and articles I had written, mainly about women. When you enter the prison, they take all of your clothes, so you're naked, totally naked in a room. Then a guard comes and makes you sit and get up again 3 times, allegedly to see if you're hiding something. After that, they give you 2 sets of clothes, a long blouse and trousers. But when you go to the rooms for the questioning, you must also wear a headscarf and a chador because the interrogators are men. The situation in prison was terrible. We were 8 to 9 people in a 14 square meter room. There was hardly any room to sleep and we could only shower twice a week. At some point, I also started to lose my hair. Even breathing was difficult because there were so many people in one cell and the air was so stuffy. What's more is that we had to ring a bell and ask to go to the toilet. There was a small refrigerator, but not in every room. We had one, for example, but others did not. We had 2 or 3 old blankets to use as a pillow or mat and a very, very thin carpet. Everybody had a toothbrush, but we didn't have anything special. No window, no watch, nothing. Every day started with an interrogation, which lasted several hours, 4, 5, sometimes even 6 hours. After the interrogation, we were completely exhausted. We felt like we were going to collapse because of the pressure, but afterwards we comforted each other. Only at night we were not questioned.
Her health is deteriorating every day. So some days she can hardly move. She has so much back pain, so much neck pain. She cannot open her hands and move her fingers. Her blood pressure is very high. In June, her cellmate, Narges Mohammadi, who recently won the Nobel Peace Prize, wrote a letter from Evin prison and she was urging the German government to do something about Nahid Taghavi because she's in very, very bad condition.
You cannot force me into silence. I will stand for freedom and equality even with the cost of my life, and I will not rest until democracy is realized.
It is a place where political prisoners are being held, and the intellectual society of Iran, so it is sometimes even called Evin University. There is one women ward in Evin prison where about 40-45 women are being held, mostly famous political prisoners.
Freiheit für Nahid Taghavi! Freiheit für alle politischen...
The other women who were arrested alongside with my mother are free now. So the only one who is still in prison is the German citizen Nahid Taghavi. So right now, after 3 years, it's not about her activism, it's only about her German citizenship, and the Islamic Republic of Iran is using her as a bargaining chip for hostage diplomacy.
This has always been a strategy of the mullahs to arrest dual nationals who are completely innocent for absolutely incomprehensible reasons, to give them a show trial and to sentence them to death.
Unnachvollziehbaren Gründen.
Mostly I'm in very good mood and spirit, but to be honest, it's much pressure on my shoulders because knowing your mother is in detention in a terror regime is not that easy. Right now, my mother calls almost every morning at 10:30 a.m. And she's not allowed to make a phone call to Germany. So she calls her brother in Iran, and he calls me with the second phone and put on the speakers of both phones so I can have a conversation with my mother. I try to make the phone calls as ordinary as possible. So I also tell her about what is going on in my life. Sometimes she tells me about what's going on in the ward, how they felt when Narges Mohammadi, who shares a cell with my mother, won the Nobel Peace Prize, and sometimes, or mostly, we talk about political topics. Everything changed after the death of Jina Mahsa Amini in September 2022. Suddenly, the whole world was watching Iran.
به نماد فریاد آزادی خواهی ایرانیان تبدیل شد. فریادی که با شعار زن، زندگی، آزادی در گوش و کنار ایران طنین انداز شد.
Es geht diesmal die ganz einfache.
This time it is about the very simple basic rights that people want to have, that especially women want to have. And these basic rights are denied to citizens by the theocratic, dictatorial mullah regime. It is common knowledge that the Revolutionary Guards are a terrorist organization and that they not only sponsor terrorism, but also actively and agilely engage in it themselves. And as long as the European Union, as long as the Federal Republic of Germany does not put the Revolutionary Guards on the terror list, this terrible cuddling with the mullahs, with the Islamic Republic, will continue.
Mit den Mullahs, mit der Islamischen Republik weiter.
Germany is still the biggest trade partner of Iran in Europe. And there are still very small sanctions on special persons in Iran. The IRGC, who is responsible for all these cruel treatments in the region, is still not listed as a terror organization. So what we want from the Western governments is not to intervene or to support the people of Iran. We only ask to not support the terror regime.
No more
people in Iran are finished with the Islamic Republic of Iran. They don't want this dictatorship anymore. I believe, Mom, that one day you will be free and we will go through all the interviews and all the campaigns, and you will see that you were never alone in Evin prison. We will keep fighting for this. Free Nahid.